Okay, so tell me who you are and what your connection is with North Kilworth.
My name's John Edgar and I own North Kilworth Wharf.
Okay, and how long have you been here, John?
Just over 2 years now.
Okay.
2 eventful years.
2 years. Tell us a little bit, well, tell us first of all how you came to look like you've been in an accident. What's the story behind that?
It's nothing very exciting. We've got one of the Moorers is a musician and he had his first gig last Friday night, and at the end of the night I was trying to help him pack up. I tripped on a microphone stand and I was going to fall off the stage, so one of the other musicians helped me on my way. Unfortunately, I clattered into the equipment, so yes,
dear.
it looks a lot worse than it is, though.
Oh well, I hope you get better soon. And helping somebody out as well. There you go. So tell me a little bit about this business first of all. What do you do here?
Pretty much everything to do with boats. We put fuel in boats, pump waste out of boats, put water in boats, paint boats, fix boats, hire boats out. So pretty much anything to do with canal boats.
Okay, and how many boats do you hire out?
We've got 3 of our own boats. We've got the little Otter, it's a 25-foot 2-berth, and Pressure Chair, which is a 2+2, and she goes out for week hires. But in fact, someone's just booked it for 5 weeks for next year, so they should get a good distance in it for that 5 weeks.
So I assume that's a result of COVID and people looking for staycations rather than overseas holidays?
We were pretty much full anyway. I think you expect to be full the summer months, but it's definitely improved the business. Not that you can only fill so many weeks. We lost the 3 months, April, May and June. Obviously, we were fully booked. So that was it was very difficult. But the wharf itself stayed open to provide essential services, fuel, pump outs for people who live on the boats.
Yeah. Okay. So, how did lockdown affect you in your day-to-day life here?
Massively. Obviously, not with just not hiring the boats out, but people couldn't bring boats to us that were booked in for work. So we had to furlough the engineer and the painter. I was here on a day-to-day basis, just making sure that people got coal if they wanted. But it was incredibly quiet and really quite eerie. But the wildlife, and I don't know if it's because we had more time to notice it, or if it was actually improved. I mean, I saw more ducklings, probably 5 times that I'd witnessed the year before. So I don't know if they knew that it was safer or whatever, but it was bizarre. And I think it was, or perhaps it's just us having time to reflect and, to look at the birds and the wildlife. So.
Yeah, to notice more, yeah. You've got a great story about some ducklings who became residents, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They were actually hatched on a boat that's on the wharf that is probably 5 meters. So where they were actually in a little flower bed on the top of the roof. So they're probably 4 to 5 meters up in the air, and we'd seen them, we'd watched them, and so we knew that once they start hatching, they all hatch within 48 hours. So I knew when they were going to be going into the canal. So I actually went out and bought a paddling pool and pumped it up, so that I thought that when they land, they could land safely in the water. But I didn't actually video it. One of the lads videoed it, and they all managed to jump off, and they literally, it's like landing on concrete, really. So it's like, as a child, a baby, if you were thrown out of a block of flats on your first day.
Yeah.
But they all survived. 13 of them survived and got onto the canal.
Fantastic.
And even by the end of the season, because they got to know me with feeding them every day and feeding the mum.
Yes.
So I know that 5 actually survived and went and managed to fly away. So
wow.
Yeah, it was a good success story.
And you discovered their favourite breakfast cereal, didn't you?
That's right, they do. Well, I always have a box of cornflakes on the wharf, but not Aldi cornflakes or your home brand. It's got to be Kellogg's cornflakes because each is an ear of corn, so that's why they're much better for the ducks. So,
oh, right.
Yeah.
And they love those.
Yes, and mealworms when they get a bit bigger. So,
okay. And this is actually a really important year for this business, isn't it?
That's right. We were all geared up to have our 200th birthday party. We'd had musicians booked, and it was going to be a really big party here, hog roast. I've been cooking pizzas. And yeah, obviously we're just going to have our 201st birthday next year, so we're going to have some big celebrations. Hopefully, we're inviting the village down anyway.
Okay. And is there a particular date? Do you know the date when this opened, or is it just
Not really.
Just
We were going to do the Maybank Holiday. We just thought that was a nice time because it's luckily with the internet you can find out, and we think it was around then that it was first established. It was actually as a place for coal and for hay for the horses. So yeah.
And that must have been 1820. That must have been really quite soon after the canal itself was constructed.
Yes, it was constructed in 1814, and yeah, it's very, very busy. But then, of course, during lockdown, I mean, even through the wars, the boats were still moving. They were still moving coal around, and there was still the leisure cruising. So it was just the wharf would never ever have been quieter, or the whole canal. And it's noticeable that it's filled up with silt, so they're going to have to dredge the canal because the movement of boats does help dispersion of the silt. Mm-hmm. So that would be a good thing for us. Maybe that's something good that could come out of it. They will have to dredge the canal here.
Yeah. There's some building works, isn't there, that are going to be undertaken on one of the bridges, I think.
I believe so, but just this morning some boaters were down at Wharf at Welford, Welford, and they've said that now it's disappeared off the CRT site. So, I don't know. For me, it's going to be very difficult if we have to move the hire boats away from here because we've got all the pump out facilities.
Yeah.
So it would be a big inconvenience, but we'll manage. We will manage.
Okay. So, John, can you tell me how lockdowns affected you with your staff?
Yeah, well, just an interesting story. One of the moorers, he's actually a full-time drummer, professional musician, and of course, suddenly he'd lost his livelihood. But he was also going through a really hard time personally. His mum was having treatment for cancer, and he couldn't go and see her. So, Jez, my business partner, and I, we decided, let's not even worry about his mooring fees. And so I went to him. I said, Nick, do you know what? Let's see. Don't worry about your mooring fees. That's one thing you don't have to stress about. You're welcome here, and And he's like, oh, that's so kind. And then a couple of days later, he said, oh, I noticed there's a strimmer and a lawnmower in the coal shed. Why don't I just run round the wharf and just try and get... And he's done a superb job, and the wharf's never looked better. And as it is, I now owe him money, so he doesn't owe me fees. He's in credit. So, something positive's come out of it. And we've also become a very close-knit community, so I bought a pizza oven. We do pizza nights for the staff, and we're a proper little family. I think probably more so because you're isolated and you're not seeing your own extended family. So we became the little Wharf family, and that's a very positive thing to come out of it.